Everybody is grappling and getting their heads around this news right now. But what do you think world leaders, including leaders here in the United States, will be making of what we've been hearing in the last 40 minutes or so?
Well, it's great to be with you. I think that the news appears to indicate that the president of the Islamic Republic and the foreign minister are dead after a helicopter crash. I think that there are a few takeaways here. One is that Raisi's death will not usher in a fundamental change in the Islamic Republic's policies, and that is because the strategic decision maker in the system is the supreme leader. The president is an implementer. So that's first. But secondly, the president was considered a potential successor to Ayatollah Khamenei, and thus this has the potential to scramble the politics surrounding succession, and that will be a very important dynamic to watch. And last and certainly not least, there will likely be an election after 50 days. And in the interim, the first vice president, Mohammed Mokhber, who previously headed an economic conglomerate, the execution of Imam Khomeini's order, and is a trusted lieutenant of the supreme leader, he will become the interim president. And so those are some takeaways.
When you talk about the potential for some scrambling when it comes to the dynamics amid the line of succession for the role of supreme leader, this is interesting because even just taking a look at some think pieces from a couple of weeks ago, one saying who will be Iran's next leader, not Khamenei's son, saying instead that regarding succession, Ebrahim Raisi is likely to succeed Ali Khamenei than his son. Of course, things look very different now in light of what we've been learning in the past few minutes. So talk to us more about that potential for, in your words, a scrambling in the upper echelons, the really consequential echelons of power here in Iran. Do you think that could lead to some instability?
Potentially, yes. I would say that Ebrahim Raisi, while widely viewed as incompetent as president, he was the most experienced bureaucratically in the Islamic Republic's political elite, bar none. No other person in the political elite could claim that they have presided over two branches of government, the judiciary and the presidency. So the absence of someone with those kinds opens up the field and does increase the competition. As you mentioned, Mojtaba Khamenei has always been considered a candidate. Some thought it was unlikely given the disinclination of the supreme leader to make it seem like it was a monarchy, which the Islamic Revolution overthrew in 1979. But Mojtaba Khamenei operates in the shadows and has long been an extremely powerful presence in his father's office. So he is one to look out for. And there are others on the scene as well within the Islamic Republic's elite, clerical elite, that will be given added attention in the weeks and months ahead.
We should also touch on the fact that the foreign minister was also believed to have been on that helicopter. And on that point, I do want to ask you, when it comes to the nuclear policy, we know that just last week, the Iranian foreign minister met with the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, and of course, Grossi has long been demanding better access to Iran's nuclear facilities. So on that point, what do you think that could potentially spell for Iran's nuclear capabilities?
Well, Iran's nuclear program and the decision-making surrounding it really will, as I mentioned earlier, will remain unchanged. And that is because at the end of the day, it's the supreme leader and the Supreme National Security Council which are overseeing the nuclear file. And if some of your listeners may recall that on that visit of the IAEA Director General to Tehran recently, not only did he meet with Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, who appears to have died in this plane crash, but at the same time, he met with a man named Ali Bagheri Khani, who is the deputy foreign minister and had been the negotiator for the Islamic Republic in the unsuccessful attempts to revive the JCPOA in 2021 and 2022. And he is someone to look at as a potential, at least interim foreign minister with the apparent death of the foreign minister.
And what do we know about him?
Ali Bagheri Khani is an in-law of Iran's supreme leader. He is considered someone who stems from a very important clerical family in the Islamic Republic. He has previously served as in the foreign ministry and also on the Supreme National Security Council. And he is someone who is will likely be an automatic contender for that job now that Amir-Abdollahian is removed from the scene.
We should point out that Iran and the United States, they do not speak to each other directly, of course, and when they do have discussions, it's through intermediaries. Right now, what do you think, for example, the State Department will be doing? Do you think they'll be dusting off briefings about these potential candidates? And how difficult will it be for them to get to know whoever comes into these roles, if the worst is confirmed, when, of course, they don't have these face-to-face talks?
Well, I think that, of course, the State Department will be looking in to see who the next crop of officials in the Islamic Republic will be. But I don't think any U.S. officials will be under the illusion that the policies of the Islamic Republic on the fundamentals of its nuclear program, its regional policy will change. It won't. The IRGC reports to the Supreme Leader, and the Supreme Leader remains the constitutional commander in chief. Yes, I think that they will be paying attention to biographies, particularly in the succession process. But there's very little that the United States can do to affect that Supreme Leader succession contest. I think that they are just going to be planning contingency scenarios with regard to what happens after Khamenei dies. And last and certainly not least, I think it will be important for the State Department to engage in robust public diplomacy targeting the Iranian people and speaking and supporting their aspirations for an end to the Islamic Republic. Speaking to them as opposed to the clerical establishment will be very important, and I encourage the State Department and their European counterparts to do so.
Well, on that point regarding Iranian society, we have seen these scenes of incredible widespread protests in recent years with regards to women's rights, human rights, and so on. Many people I've been speaking to think that this won't necessarily usher in any change. But of course, we have to acknowledge society there is polarized. If we go now to a period of mourning and then potential elections, do you think that this actually could be something of a catalyst for some people to take to the streets once again?
It could, and that's also because let's not forget the underlying drivers that have led the Iranian people to protest and call for an end to the Islamic Republic have only gotten worse since the Woman Life Freedom Movement in 2022. Repression has increased. There has been more robust enforcement of the hijab dress restrictions for women. The Islamic Republic has been meddling in the region and has been escalating in the region in the first direct attack from Iranian soil against Israel. So there are many Iranians who are celebrating the helicopter crash. There are Iranians who have been expressing support for Israel in the current Gaza conflict. And so this is a very explosive dynamic for the Iranian regime, and they will likely want to carefully choreograph and control this situation. But there are unknowns here.
Very briefly, if you don't mind, Jason, for proxies that Iran supports, for the likes of Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, for example, what do you think this means with regards to the war in Israel?
I think it will be status quo. Let's not forget that the IRGC reports to the Supreme Leader, and the IRGC oversees and liaises with Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, and all these other militias across the region. So the modus operandi and the grand strategy of the Islamic Republic will remain the same, regardless of whether President Raisi is in his position.
Jason Brodsky, very good to get your assessment. Thank you.